welcome back to Food News and Shoes, and today we're going to we're continuing with the bee theme.
Right.
We have had such a great time talking about bees and honey.
Try not to get stung.
Stuff.
No, they're not dangerous. But no, we saw some great honey, and I've got a great recipe for it too.
Yeah, and it's called Lazy Dog.
Lazy Dog.
I've seen a lot of those.
It's a great name.
Anderson County honey. I love that.
So to accentuate the honey and the great flavors of honey, we're going to use pretty much an all-local dish here. We're going to use some Sautéing Farms mushrooms.
Those are beautiful. Some
nice honey-glazed shallots, lots of the honey, some Gruyere cheese. We're going to make a nice tart. And to do that, I usually start with puff pastry. Have you ever seen this before?
No.
It comes in a sheet. You can buy it. I would suggest getting it because making puff pastry is an ordeal. But you can get this stuff in the freezer case, and it comes in sheets. And I used to take the sheets and use some kind of, round cutter. If you want to use a cookie cutter and make smaller tarts, that's fine.
You do a lot of tarts at Azor.
I do. And this is how they're done. So we'll kind of stamp out a round shape and put that on a baking tray with parchment. You don't want it to stick.
Let me try.
Okay, you do the next one. Right there.
It's like being a little girl and playing cook.
You gotta press a little harder than that.
See, I'm such a failure.
There you go. Jeez. So anyway, the puff pastry, you can use this for other little things, make smaller tarts. Don't waste it though.
It's like cookie dough, like sugar cookie dough.
Exactly. Okay. This stuff, you just want to pierce it several times because this pastry it's butter leaven. It's gonna really pop up and get puffy. But if you don't kind of give it some release for, let the gases and the moisture release with these little holes, it goes crazy in the oven. So we're gonna make these little punctures in it so it has some way for when that water vaporizes, has a place for it to go. So this goes in the oven. We're gonna let them puff up. And in the meantime, we're going to caramelize these shallots and mushrooms with that nice local honey.
That stovetop kind of stuff sounds good.
Sure.
So, Jeremy, one of the important things that we know is that honey is so precious because the origins of honey start with these guys.
Right.
That's right. And we know that honey actually, and we've covered some of this in Food News in various ways, but we just need to emphasize how important honey is in the cycle of life.
And bees in general and the pollination of our fruits and vegetables. I mean, we don't eat without bees.
That's right.
So these guys, even though they sting, they're kind of essential.
Yeah.
So anyway, into the skillet with shallots. And then
plain old.
The thing about these is you really want to just kind of sit there and let them cook.
Let them cook.
For a very, very long time until they're nice and dark. And at that point in time, we're going to add our mushrooms too. And once the mushrooms are cooked, we can,
Any kind of specific kind of mushrooms? Because these are all different kinds and colors.
Well, these are local mushrooms from Sautéing Farms. And this is a shiitake, this is an oyster mushroom.
That's
like a kind of cluster, isn't it? But they're really, really good.
Oh, I know.
And the thing about these, I don't really even chop them. I just kind of fold them into the pan and let them cook and let them sear.
Just let them do their thing.
Let them do their thing.
All right, Jeremy, now what?
So I've got a little bit of nice color on these shallots.
They're
starting to caramelize.
And the smell is out of this world.
Mesmerizing.
Just in oil? That's all
this is olive oil. But now we're going to kind of push them to the side and create a little bit of room for these mushrooms. At this point, though, I like to use a little bit of butter.
The mushrooms?
So I love the way the earthiness of the olive oil is in there and the creaminess of the butter adds to it. So notice I didn't really even chop these mushrooms. I'm just kind of folding them in there.
Let them.
And I don't really want to move them either. I just want to sit there and let them caramelize or actually sear and roast in the pan.
What are those yellow ones again?
These are called oyster mushrooms, the yellow oyster mushroom. Like I said, these come from Sautéing Farms and they're really, really good.
And then what are the others?
This is the shiitake mushroom.
Okay.
And these are grown locally here in Kentucky. Wonderful stuff. So we'll let these kind of sear, get cooked up, and then we'll put them on our puff pastry tart.
Oh, sounds great.
So great, we got super nice color on these.
I could eat just that alone.
It's delicious. Now what I'm going to do is...
Perfectly browned too, I think.
And the sweetness is coming out. Fragrance is great. So deglaze a little bit of sherry.
Sherry, yeah.
And I'm going to finish with some fresh herbs. Kind of stir those up.
Oh, look how you can do that.
And then nice amount of that good local honey in there.
Lazy dog. Oh, this is just going to be wonderful.
And if you could, a little bit more fresh herbs. And a little bit of butter right at the end, and those are finished. Go right on that puff pastry tart.
Oh, promise you'll make this at the restaurant. Now what do we do?
We got perfectly cooked shallots, perfectly cooked mushrooms, lots of local honey and some cherry wine. These are little puff pastry things that came out of the oven.
Oh, they're
Watch,
beautiful.
I'm going to push them down a little bit right in the center and make a well, right? And that's going to give us a nice way to hold all this goodness. glazed
This
up
looks good.
mushrooms and shallots.
Yeah, and
Right
then
into
you
the
could
puff
also add
pastry.
other things, right? I mean, if you wanted to really jazz it up even more.
Yeah,
Although, why
bacon.
would you? You know, this is bacon. Bacon, now you're talking.
That's right. So in there,
And
with
remember, it has that honey in
lots
there,
of it too. The nuts, spare the
fabulous
honey. And we're
lazy
going to
dog.
save all this juice because we're going to garnish the top of that tart with that
juice
leftover
is
juice.
delicious.
So anyway, now that
now
we
we
have
have-
our mushrooms tart, we've got lots of Gruyere cheese.
And you could use any kind of cheese, but you and I have a preference for
Yeah,
this,
I
right?
think this is, you know, mushrooms and Gruyere, a great combination. And don't hold back, put a lot of it on there.
Oh, for sure.
And go right back into the oven just to brown and melt the cheese, and these things are finished. All right, so Gruyere,
away from those.
mushroom, shallots, lots of honey. These things are browned up and looking
Look
beautiful.
how pretty.
And nice and warm. Look at the gooey cheese.
Oh,
Come
that
on.
cheese.
Anyway, onto a nice little bed of salad if you want. I can, you know, I put candied nuts on these sometimes. That's really
Oh,
good.
yeah, candied nuts.
But then remember that nice juice we saved from the
Oh,
honey
yeah.
and the mushrooms?
Well, I licked up about half of it, but
Yeah, I
you
got to
have
put
enough
lots of that on there. And there's a great way to use
Oh.
local honey and mushrooms and cheese. Fabulous way to
I
go.
love it.
Can't wait
Great
for you to
job.
try it.
Yeah, I will too. You've been listening to Food News and Chews. We'll see you next week.
Food News and Chews is brought to you by these proud sponsors: Alltech, helping farmers feed the world; Azure Restaurant and Patio, worldly influenced, locally inspired; Sullivan University, offering higher education for people with higher goals; Azure Catering, catering the most important events, yours; Critchfield Meats, fresh, high-quality, all-natural meats, guaranteed; and Seaworth Superstore, fulfilling all your kitchen supply needs.